Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Week 9 edition of Stack in the Box, recapping Week 9. Sterling Holmes, Iain MacMillan here. Sterling, what's going on?
Yo, it's a great day to have a great day. It's a great day. Chiefs play today. And if you're a bettor, a lot of people probably won some money by betting on the favorites. If you were myself and thought, hey, let's get tricky this week, you didn't.
I think only one underdog won the up until tonight, obviously, and the Buccaneers are 9-point underdogs, so that'd be quite the upset. I think the Carolina Panthers are the only team to pull off an upset,
as we all thought. We all thought.
So as always, we'll recap Week 9. Sterling, I will kind of need to lean on you for this because I did not watch any football. I watched Sunday Night Football. I watched the first half of Sunday Night Football. It's the only football I watched yesterday. So
why?
Because I ran a marathon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Congrats, dude. That was awesome. You ran a marathon.
I didn't mention it enough on social media, so I got to mention it one more time here on this show, and then I'll stop talking about it. But
how was it? How are your knees?
I feel like the Tin Man this morning. I'm stiff. I'm sore, but I did survive.
Dude, I'm proud of you. That is you ran a marathon. I am very proud of you. Iain, look in my eyes. Look here. I'm proud of you.
Do I look at the camera or do I look at you? I'm going to look at you.
Look at me. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, because of that, obviously, I mean, I don't like missing football, but I didn't really have a choice with the marathon taking place on a Sunday. So I did try to catch up. Obviously, it's not quite the same as watching the games happen live. So I will have to kind of lean on you for some of this recap here. But then it's actually the halfway point. After tonight, it's the halfway point of the season. So we're going to do some recap of the first half of the season and then wrap up the show with Buccaneers Chiefs preview for Monday Night Football. But before we get into all that, Underdog, it is the best place to cash in on all of your takes this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your sports opinions into real money. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog, including myself, with their Champs game. You could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Underdog is the best place to play champions, so sign up and deposit now using promo code Stacking the Box. That's all one word, Stacking the Box, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. I have a underdog lineup for tonight. I need a win, so I'm keeping it easy. 3 plays here. I got Patrick Mahomes higher than 249.5 passing yards, Bucky Irving higher than 33.5 rushing yards, and Cade Otton higher than 4.5 receptions. Keeping it easy. 3 plays.
I love all 3 of those, which is probably bad news for you.
And I thought about adding a 4th, but I was like, no, I need a winner tonight. I'll stick to 3 and hope for the best here. And those are my 3 favorites. Download the app tonight and use code Stack in the Box to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. I guess the natural starting point here for us, Sterling, will actually be Thursday Night Football because we don't do a Friday show, so we got to recap Thursday Night Football. The New York Jets, everyone was confused why they were favorites in that game. They kind of proved to people why they were favorites. They ended up beating the Houston Texans, which may have been an upset in the public eye, but not an upset in the betting odds. So my question to you, Sterling, is: are the New York Jets still alive?
I mean, technically, yes. Season's not over. They still have a chance. They did not play good football.
Sorry, just so people know, they are 3-6 right now. So 2 games back from the Broncos, who are in the final wildcard spot.
Yeah, there's a chance, but they have to go on some type of heater. And that game should not have given anyone who's a Jets fan any confidence. I know it looks good because you beat the Texans. Yay! That Texans offensive line was one of the worst, if not the worst, O-line performances I have ever seen. Yeah, it looked like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers when they played with their entire backup offensive line. I mean, it was hilarious. I felt so bad for C.J. Stroud. I know people were saying, well, he can't do anything without Tank Dell or Nico Collins. I go, he can do nothing with no time. He was immediately under pressure the second he got the snap. I was actually impressed with C.J. Stroud. I really was. Joe Mixon still has a lot of juice left. I think if you're the Texans, you just have to get healthy. Right. If you're the Texans, I think you feel different about that game. You say, okay, we know what the issues are. Is it changeable? Can you get better on the offensive line in the middle of the season? But at least you know what the issue is. It's not Nico or Tank. It's or Nico or Stephon Diggs. I mean, it's the offensive line. You know exactly what it is. Defense, I thought, played pretty solid. If you're the Jets, I don't know how you feel. Like, you're happy you won, obviously. That's first and foremost. You don't apologize for winning. You did a great job exploiting the Texans' weakness. But I don't know how thrilled you are going forward saying, yeah, this is going to be sustainable. This offense is sustainable. Garrett Wilson is phenomenal, and it took that ridiculous catch, which borderline catch, shin versus knee versus 2 feet versus George Pickens punching air right now. That's what it basically took to win. If you're the Jets, I think you left that game with a little bit of questions.
One of my biggest takeaways from that game, and it's something we've talked about in the past, Sterling, but how do players in the National Football League still drop the ball before crossing the goal line? It seems like the most obvious thing to not do, and it happens multiple times every year. I don't get it. Is it a cool thing to try to drop the ball the moment you cross the goal line? If I was a player in the NFL, I wouldn't let go of the ball anymore until the referee tore it from my arms. It happened again. Not only is a rookie who would have been his first NFL touchdown. He may not score. I mean, it probably will because he's a pretty good player, but he may not score another touchdown the rest of his career. There wasn't anyone by him. He just dropped it. How does this still keep happening?
There has to be some sort of bet that goes around the NFL with players that you have to whoever can drop it the closest to the goal line gets some sort of prize, because that's the only logical explanation I can come up with. It makes no sense. And again, it kind of goes to, I think the Jets are just a really poorly coached team. They do so many stupid things. You just watch me this team is dumb. They're dumb.
They shoot themselves in the foot all game, multiple times a game.
And they're not talented enough to overcome that. And that's what it comes down to. I'm not saying Robert Saleh was this insanely talented head coach, but at least he was a head coach. The interim right now it looks like it's a pirate ship and everyone's for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, all the issues that were there before the firing of Saleh, all those issues are still there and might actually be slightly worse. So
I think they're exasperated. I think you're right.
Yeah. Jalen in the chat said Jets are still alive, but it ain't happening. Bengals will probably get the number 7 seed. Bengals a game back from the Broncos now, so Jets are 2 games back. Colts are there, a game back. So Jets are still alive. They're still alive. It's going to be tough, though. It is going to be tough. I mean, a lot of people are saying the Bengals. I mean, that when you look at the teams who are kind of flirting with a wild card spot, it certainly makes the most sense. But the Bengals aren't playing super well either. They're kind of benefiting from how weak the AFC is, because the AFC is. There are 1, 2, 3. There are 6 teams in the AFC right now with 2 wins. Not good.
Yeah, it's there's no middle class really. It's either you're top heavy or you're bad.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Sunday's games. Let's go back to actually what we opened the show with there, Sterling. Every single favorite one this week, except for the Carolina Panthers. If you said before the game started, one underdog was going to win this week, I bet you we wouldn't have said the Carolina Panthers. But maybe we should have saw it coming, because the Saints stink too. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that 2-0 start is a long way away. All the goodwill that Derek Carr built up in New Orleans is completely gone. They're now blaming him for getting Chris Olave injured. Whatever your thoughts are on that, I think it's a little far-fetched. I'm not saying Derek Carr made the greatest throw in the world, but there was a reason why there were 12 penalty flags thrown on that play, right? Yeah. At some point, it's also on the defender. Or can you just never go over the middle again? I feel horrendous for Chris Olave. That is terrifying. That is scary. But I don't know if blaming Derek Carr is the right move there. It looked like Chris Olave's brother on Twitter's going at it. Michael Thomas, for some reason, who can't form a sentence, is out there talking about it. I can't read it. It hurts my head trying to read Michael Thomas on Twitter. It's brutal. Can't guard Mike, can't read Mike, can't type Mike. Horrible. But yeah, the Saints are brutal, man. Good for Bryce Young getting a win there. Good for the Panthers. Colin Saunders, hilarious on Twitter. Defensive tackle. Just saying, if we're going to tank, might as well put me in at quarterback. Saying we just lost if this was a college football bowl game, this would be the Continental Doo-Doo Bowl, and we just lost the Continental Doo-Doo Bowl. Sounds like things are going great in New Orleans.
Hate to see it. Interesting enough, the race for the number 1 overall pick in the NFL is kind of a tight one because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams right now with 2 wins. They're all tied. They're all tied for the first overall pick. I guess technically Titans and Dolphins would be up because they only have 6 losses compared to the rest of the teams all have 7 losses. Yeah, the race to the bottom's going to be a tight one this year. Good for the Panthers. Cowboys. Cowboys were my upset pick of the week. I was actually extremely confident in them beating my Falcons. It is always weird when you bet against the team you root for, because then obviously I would have taken a Falcons win over a Cowboys win. I'd rather my team win than for me to win a bet. Obviously, I didn't watch the game, but it looks like the Cowboys are truly trash, which I thought maybe they weren't. I mean, you look at this Cowboys team, 12-5 the past 3 seasons. They returned almost their entire roster from last year. I don't know how you can go, because even record aside, you look at the metrics, you look at the numbers. This is last year they were a top 5 team in almost everything. This year they're a bottom 5 team in a lot of areas. I don't know how a team that has the exact same coach, the exact same roster, can play this much worse than they did just 12 months ago.
Yeah. It's called an emotional hedge, by the way. I do that all the time. Just take the other team. I do it for Mizzou all the time. Yeah. And you win some money, and then if you're happy, it's a great combo. Cowboys are ass, dude. They're ass. There's no like, oh, they're going to turn the ship around. No. McCarthy's probably gone after the season. Dak Prescott got injured, obviously, in the game, so Cooper Rush came in, so that's at least a talking point of why they lost, but it's not like they're great with Dak Prescott in at quarterback. Their defense has a lot of issues. Falcons are good. I mean, I think that's a takeaway. The Falcons are good. This was a game that we thought you and I were on the same page with the Cowboys, at least the points. Like the Cowboys, they'll probably, if they lose this by 3, but they might win this game. No, Cowboys are bad. They're just a bad team. Falcons, though, they're showing a lot. I mean, their multiplicity at wide receiver, or at least weapon-wise, is nice to see. Their offensive line is solid. But
Darnell Mooney has proven to be like one of the best acquisitions of the offseason, because we got him for cheap too.
Well, that was my point. Was like you have a legit wide receiver too. The multiplicity of the addition of Darnell Mooney, the duplicity of Tyler Algier with Bijan Robinson, right? That's a really nice combo. The Falcons, again, I kind of stand by it. Like, I don't think the Falcons have, like, outside of, like, offensively at least, outside of Chris Lindstrom as a guard and Bijan Robinson, they don't really have any elite players, but they have a lot of really solid players, a lot of really good players, even on the offensive line. They don't really have a guy overall in that team you're like, oh, he's really hurting you.
Yeah, once again, wasn't able to watch the game, but everything that I've looked at looks good. I mean, obviously, they still probably have the same issues on defense. I assume their pass rush didn't all of a sudden turn into a great pass rush yesterday, but I mean, they're going to be a playoff team, and they're a team, any team that is that good offensively as the Falcons are always going to be, live to pull off an upset or two in the playoffs once they get there. So, everything's on track. And then this offseason, hopefully we fix the defense, the pass rush. And we also, I mean, is trade deadline's today, isn't it?
November 5th, I thought it was the same day.
Tomorrow after tonight's game. So
I thought it was the same day as the election, which I'm like, 2 massive days.
Yeah.
2 massive things on one day. It seems crazy.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up the show with our political takes ahead of the election tomorrow.
Oh, are we now? Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Religion
no,
next.
So I'll excuse myself from that conversation. Yeah. Dolphins, once again, lose a close one. Dolphins are now actually kind of toast now, too. They did give the Bills a scare, but the Bills come out on top. The Dolphins now fall to 2-6. So they'd certainly look better with Tua back in the lineup, but they lost 2 close games to the Cardinals and Bills. I mean, they win those 2 games. They're right back in the playoff picture, but they lost both of them, and now their season's probably over.
Well, I talked about this when Tua came back, and you brought up a very good point. They kept losing one-score games because the offense couldn't get it done when they had, Tyler Huntley or the quarterback from K-State, not Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, but the defense was keeping them in games, right? And we were talking about how, if they get Tua back, this might be a pretty scary team. And the thing I said was, well, if Tua comes back, does the defense all of a sudden get a little bit lax? Do they say, all right, Tua's back, we don't have this pressure on us anymore? And that's what we saw.
Yep.
Because the offense took a step forward and the defense goes, okay, well, we're good now. It's no longer we have to give up only 10 points to be in the game.
Yep.
Well, now you're giving up 30. Now you let the Arizona Cardinals put up, I forget how many points they put up on the Dolphins, but a decent amount, right? It's kind of what happened. I know I get it. The Bills are a really good offense and Arizona has a good offense too, but the Dolphins defense to me is letting them down with Tua coming back. Still not getting Tyreek Hill as involved as you'd like to see for a team that has Tyreek Hill, but the Dolphins are looking cooked.
Let's quickly go through some recap of the first half of the NFL season. Rapid fire here before we get to our Monday Night Football preview. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Sterling. Rank at the midway point of the season, rank your top 5 NFL teams.
Okay, top 5, Chiefs. In no particular order, so I don't get anyone yelling at me. I'm just going to think off my head.
All right, fine. I'm putting mine in a particular order.
Chiefs is 1, by the way. So, Chiefs 1, Detroit 2. I think that's the clear top 2 teams in the NFL, correct? Those 2 teams, can we at least agree it's the top 2? Chiefs and Detroit. I don't think it's very close. I think that's the top 2. If you say any other top 2, I think you're just trying to be a hot take artist.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, list your top 5 and then we'll talk about this because I obviously have thoughts about the Chiefs, but go on.
Okay. So I have the Chiefs and Detroit in their own tier. And then I would go with, there's
a bit of a drop off.
I think I'm throwing the Bills in the top 5.
Yeah.
I think I'm throwing Bills in top 5. I feel bad. I'm throwing the Eagles in the top 5 because the way they're playing right now. The way the Eagles are playing right now, they're top 5.
Okay.
Which leaves number 5 between Houston, who has no offensive line, Baltimore, who I got a lot of questions about defensively.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, who just keeps finding ways to win, but does so seemingly unimpressively.
Right.
Minnesota, who's 6-2, but I don't know if I can consider them top 5.
Or
which leaves me Washington.
Oh, what? Or
what do you mean?
The Falcons.
No, come on.
I think you have the Commanders above the Falcons?
I think I'm going Commanders above the Falcons. As 10P Kids says, coaching will kill the Eagles at some point. Yeah. Again, I think in a big game, an important game next year, he's not going to get it done. I think you're a Bengals guy, or at least you're rooting for the Bengals. I'm with you. I think the Bengals probably find a way to sneak into the playoffs. Their offense is top 5. Their defense needs to step up, but their offense is clicking right now. When T. Higgins comes back as well, that's scary. There is a little bit of issue with the Jermaine Burton situation going on there. That's a little okay.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
That's a bit weird. But yeah, the Bengals offense is starting to roll. I think I'm going Washington 5, above Minnesota, above the 49ers, who are, let's be record talent-wise is top 5, but record-wise is not. They get Christian McCaffrey back. The Falcons, yeah. I think Washington is top 5 for me. So,
just my issue with the Commanders is their schedule has been unbelievably easy.
Yeah, Falcons, who we went into the year saying the easiest schedule in football, by the way, but okay.
Who?
We talked all offseason long how easy the Falcons schedule is.
Yeah, but once the season has gone on, it's flipped. The Falcons have had actually now the most difficult schedule, especially the first half. But the Commanders, they had a good win against the Bengals. I guess a solid win against the Cardinals, but then the other teams they beat, the Giants twice, the Panthers, the Bears. Okay. And the rest of their schedule, I want to see them play the Eagles twice. That's going to be interesting. And they do play the Falcons in week 17 too. So, but the rest of their schedule is pretty easy too. They got the Titans, they got the Saints, they got the Cowboys twice. Steelers next week's going to be a bit of an interesting one, though.
I get it, but they've been impressive, like offensively especially. I think they can keep up, kind of like the Falcons. They're both semi-similar, where it's like offensively that's their strength, defensively that's going to be their weakness, especially for the Falcons pass rush.
Okay, here's my top 5. Number 1, Detroit. I think the Lions are by far the best team in the NFL. They have no weaknesses. Offensively, very good. Defensively, very good. Special teams, very good. Coaching, very good. My issue with the Chiefs, I mean, what are we doing? Are we listing the best teams right now, or are we listing the best records? Because if we're just listing the best records, then we can do that. But then the Chiefs will be number 1. Yes, they're the back-to-back defending champs, but at the end of the day, you have to take into consideration their metrics at least a little bit. Their offense has been average. By every way you want to measure an NFL offense, 10, the Chiefs' offense this season has been average.
A lot's been top 10. That's okay. They come in at 9, 10, 8, 11 on a lot of these.
Sure, they don't come in at number 1. They don't come in at number 2. They don't come in
but that's not average, is it? What do you consider top 10?
Okay, borderline top 10. You're right. Allow me to fix what I said. Borderline top 10.
Sure.
I'll put the Chiefs. They're in my top 5 for sure. And they will probably.
Oh wow! Your largesse knows no bounds, Iain. Top 5 for the only undefeated team in the NFL. Wild take.
They probably will win the Super Bowl again because Patrick Holmes has the Tom Brady in him, has the Michael Jordan in him, where he brings his best in big games. But if I'm just ranking who I think are the best teams in the NFL right now, I put the Lions number 1. I'd put the Bills number 2. Then I'd put the Chiefs number 3. I think I did. Ravens were probably being my number 4, and then Eagles my number 5.
The Ravens have been too inconsistent for me.
Yeah, but I mean,
they have 3 losses already.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
That's the only reason I put Washington above them. It was
the Ravens' offense is the best in the NFL, though.
Maybe Detroit.
Yeah.
The Ravens' defense is bad. Like, it's bad.
Yeah, their secondary. They can stop the run. Their secondary is atrocious.
I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, their offense has put up 41 points against a top 3 defense.
Sure.
You didn't have the Ravens in your top 5.
No, I put Washington. That was the exchange. Was it Washington? Was it Ravens?
Right. Mason says Bills too. It's too early to be smoking like this. Why not? Why not the Bills? Their offense has been fantastic. Amari Cooper now. Their defense has been good. I mean, they're 7-2.
I have the Bills in my top 5.
You have them number 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think to me the clear top 2 is Detroit and Chiefs. Like, I think it's those 2, and then I think next it's the Bills, who will probably be the Chiefs in the regular season because that's their Super Bowl. That's what they care about.
And I'm not even going to argue with you about the Chiefs, but I'm just not going to have the same opinion. But I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
That's fine, I guess. I mean, I think there's a clear best team in the NFC and a clear best team in the AFC, and that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, fair enough.
I think Detroit's incredible. Their offensive line.
We can agree the Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Best in the NFC by far. Like, I think it's them.
They have no hole.
Yeah, I mean, even without Aiden Hutchinson, I'm impressed with what they've been able to do. I mean, it's
their secondary has been fantastic. The last 4 or 5 weeks, their secondary has been like one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the Lions. And Dan Campbell, I think, is a good head coach, or at least he's a good. It's almost like Raheem Morris or some of these other coaches now, where you're seeing them almost as like not a GM, but they're like the manager, and then they hire a good OC and DC underneath them, and they trust those guys. Raheem's doing it with Atlanta. Dan Campbell has been doing this with Detroit. It's a good model if you can get it to work. If you can hire guys that you trust, and you trust them to do that only, then you can focus on only the specific in-game situations of an actual head coach instead of being an OC and a DC. They have it down in Detroit right now. We'll see what happens when Ben Johnson leaves, if he leaves. But when he leaves, I think that's going to be a real big test for that Lions team. But doesn't matter this year.
I agree. Most surprisingly good team so far this season. I think there are 3 candidates. I think it's the Washington Commanders, who are probably the pick. The Minnesota Vikings or the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, all three are great calls. I think Washington's the most surprising.
I agree, but also just comes down to the Commanders' schedule. The Vikings' schedule has been significantly more. Like, Vikings have beat way more good teams than the Commanders. And they have the same record except one less win because they have a bye. They're 6-2 compared to the Commanders at 7-2.
Yeah, I might go Vikings. You're right as far as most surprising. It's just incredible what Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, they just got TJ Hawkinson back. Sam Darnold's looked really good. For me, it's tough to really buy all the way in on Sam Darnold because you still have the thoughts of what he's been in his previous 3 stops, right? It's really hard.
And you still see some flashes of old, like that end zone interception he threw last night in the first quarter. That was vintage Sam Darnold.
And when you see that, you're like, okay, now it's definitely Washington. But the Vikings defense has been great, and it's really interesting when you look at the Vikings and Colts. Like, both their defenses have been impressive. But Vikings specifically, like what they do, how they try to confuse you. They might not be the most talented defensive players in the NFL, but the scheme, they have the guys that fit what they want to do. I've been very impressed with that Vikings defense. Again, like you look at that team, how many like superstars are on that defense? You have an old Harrison Smith. You have what's Stephon Gilmore at 34 years old.
Yep.
It's impressive.
They supposedly lost their best defensive player this offseason, Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, he went to the Texans. I mean,
most surprisingly bad team this season. I think the candidates are going to be the Jets. Do you toss the 49ers in there? I wouldn't say they're bad yet at 4-4, but maybe not as good as people expected, at least record-wise so far. So I don't think 49ers qualify quite yet. I'd put Jets, Cowboys, probably one of those 2 teams.
Yeah, I'd probably go Cowboys because Jets, you could have seen this happening, right? You could see this happening.
Yep.
We thought they weren't, but you could at least be like, okay, I understand how that happened. Cowboys, I don't get. Cowboys, I don't understand at all. I think another team you could put in as far as disappointing, not a team that I thought was going to be very good necessarily, but I think a team that a lot of people thought might at least be solid, Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jacksonville might be the most.
I think we both picked them to. I thought they were a good bet at their value to win the division.
I did not. I said Houston. I ripped Houston. I may have even had Jacksonville third. I can't remember if I had the Colts second or not.
Another team that was surprisingly bad just fired their head coach. Breaking news: Saints have fired head coach Dennis Allen. Not surprising as of today. I mean, I think a lot of people expected this. There's a strong chance this could happen. As a Falcons fan, I am devastated. Damn. Oh, I hate to see it. Oh, come on. Damn. The Saints. Oh, they're 2-0. What happened? Oh. Shoot. Actually, this is going to hurt us because now the Falcons have to play the Saints this week. And the first game with an interim head coach is always a win for that team. So that's, I wish this actually happened next week.
It's almost automatic. Whenever you do a QB change for one game or an interim head coach for one game.
Even Jeff Saturday won his first game as a Colts head coach, and what will be looked back at as one of the weirdest things of all time.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was just a wild situation.
So
I don't know what this. I mean, the Saints had to do something, but
too little, too late, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dennis Allen, I think he's been on the hot seat. It felt like for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Like I feel like ever since he took over for Sean Payton, he's been on the hot seat. Yeah. They've always been talented, and they keep kicking the can down the road. They got to blow this thing up, man. Like, when are the Saints going to just say, you know what? We got to rebuild. Going 8-9 or 7-10.
They're in cap hell. They got to stink for the next few years and rebuild.
Well, they just extended Alvin Kamara. They kicked the can down the road again. Because they're like $81 million out of the cap already for next year. They're like, well, how are we going to get out of this? Well, let's just kick the can. So let's just re-sign and extend Alvin Kamara so the money gets pushed down. It's like you're going to be paying Alvin Kamara like he's freaking you know what I'm talking about, the Mets player Bobby Bonilla. Like I'm just the Saints.
Matthew in the chat says, do the Saints pull a Colts and hire Drew Brees as the interim coach?
Oh, good call. That'd be great.
Love it. Love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Midway Super Bowl pick. I think we both. Well, no, I'm gonna say the greatest Super Bowl. It's gonna be It's not gonna happen because the Bills are gonna choke against the Chiefs in the playoffs. But I'll say Bills beat Lions in the Super Bowl this year.
I'll
You'll
go
say
Chiefs
beat Lions.
Detroit.
Yeah. Who is your MVP of the midway point?
I think Jared Goff. I think I'm going Goff. I think Lamar's really close. I think Lamar deserves a lot of credit. I think Jane Daniels deserves to be in there. I mean, if it's most valuable player, well, if you take Jane Daniels off, I guess they did put up a 40 spot with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. Yeah. So maybe that hurts my case here. But if you look from last year to this year with a lot of similar pieces, it's hard not to say Jane Daniels shouldn't at least be close. But if it were me, I'd probably go Jared Goff. I mean, I know some of the numbers haven't been always impressive yardage-wise when he threw for 85 yards. But, he's completing 80% of his passes.
Yeah.
He's so efficient. He's almost getting knocked because the Detroit Lions get up so much, then they just have to run the football, so the numbers might be deflated. Lamar's been great. I mean, Lamar's been Lamar. But I think it's hard not to look at what Jared Goff has done for Detroit, the efficiency numbers, and say, yeah, how can you pick anyone else?
Jared Goff has a completion percentage, leads the NFL at 74.9%, which is just bananas. The betting odds at the sports book I'm looking at right now is Josh Allen is the favorite, Lamar Jackson close behind him, and then Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, and Jaden Daniels all tied for third. And then there's a pretty significant drop off, and then Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. I think I would say, I know there's the voter fatigue, but I think I would still go Lamar Jackson. Comments on Lamar Jackson at all?
I mean, I think he's probably top 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to argue that hard. I just would go with Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is deserving of it. I think he's been the catalyst of the best offense in football.
Yep.
And he's been just so efficient. Again, say that most valuable player is so hard because I think there's so many ways to look at it. If you take Lamar off the Ravens, they're probably worse than if you take Jared Goff off of the Lions, right? If that's your one argument, then okay. That's not always how it's voted on.
Yeah, if that's the case, it might actually go Josh Allen.
It could go Josh Allen. It could go Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of ways if you do it that way. But if you look at who's been the best quarterback, I think it's been Jared Goff. Again, he's not had to put up insane numbers all the time because they get up so early. They just have to run the football after that.
Lamar Jackson is first in both QBR and quarterback rating. If you're a stats guy, he's leading both of those. I think Jaden Daniels is leading in EPA plus CPOE. So yeah, I think I'd go Lamar Jackson though. All right, let's wrap up.
Last thing. Burrow's, if the Bengals turn it around and they make the playoffs, if they go 10-7 and 11-6 somehow. Wait, how many losses do they have? They have 6 right now, right?
6. No, they're 4-6 right now, I think. Yeah.
They're 4-6. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
4-5. Sorry, 4-5.
4-5. You have to win at least 10 games, I think. Maybe even 11. Yeah. If you're the quarterback, I mean, I know QB wins, but still, I think it does matter at least when you are the biggest impact player in a team. He's going to get close if they keep winning games. Joe Burrow might be top 3, top 4. He's probably 4th right now.
So you'd put him above Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, for MVP this year, Mahomes isn't even top 15.
Betting on still have him tied for 3rd. Which
Chris Jones should be ahead of Mahomes this year.
400-1 right now. You can bet on Chris Jones. All right, let's wrap up with Monday Night Football preview. It is the Buccaneers against the Chiefs. The Buccaneers, last I looked, 9-point underdogs, now up 9.5, at least the sportsbook I'm looking at. So Chiefs massive favorites. Favorites have dominated this week, as we talked about. Panthers the only upset so far. I doubt the Bucs are going to pull this off, but can they cover the spread would actually kind of be the question. Over under for this game is 46. You're the Chiefs guy. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I think I'd probably take the points. I know not last week, but the 2 prior ones, the Chiefs won by 2 scores, right? They won by double digits. But they also only won by 7 against the Raiders, even though they dominated the game. I mean, they should have won by 14, but it was a late garbage time touchdown that doesn't matter. That's the issue. right? That the issue is going to be a garbage time touchdown. The Buccaneers, as we saw, they're okay keeping their stars or good players out there in a game that you can't come back and win. They're going to try to put up garbage time points. They've already done that, and it ended with Chris Godwin getting injured. So I'd probably take the Buccaneers with the points. Although I don't know how the Buccaneers offense is going to really roll. Like I think this is not a. If they had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Kate Otten and all their guys, I think the Buccaneers are a bad matchup for KC. Like I could have saw this being like a sneaky upset pick.
Betting odds aside, what are you looking in for this game for the Chiefs?
Well, the Chiefs are going to stop the run because the Bucs can't run the football. So the Bucs probably won't run the football. They're just going to throw the ball 45 times, probably with Baker Mayfield. CB2's been injured. Jalen Watson's now obviously injured. McDuffie's locked down. But that opposite side, we'll see Christian Roland Wallace, Joshua Williams, Najee Johnson. I have to check. He was concussed. I need to see if he passed protocol. I actually forget that. I got to look that up. Chiefs secondary is a little banged up right now. If they don't get pressure up front on Baker, Jalen MacMillan, someone could go off. Don't know who it's going to be. Offensively, the Chiefs' offense looks like it's about to break out. I mean, Mahomes has played some pretty poor football, but he's trending up while still throwing interceptions. Travis Kelce and him getting on the same page. DeAndre Hopkins, I think, will have a bigger role in tonight's game. I think the Chiefs' offense is more liable to put up 30 points than in any game we've seen over this season.
I took the points of the Bucs. I'm not confident with it though. I mean, the Bucs offense did look solid last week against the Falcons without Godwin or Evans, but obviously the Chiefs defense is significantly better than the Falcons defense. So we'll see. This would be a lot more of a fun game if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were playing.
100%. Because I could also see this being one of those games where the Chiefs win like 27-10.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I just don't like taking that many points because we've seen the Raiders just garbage time touchdowns. You know, it could easily be one of those situations yet again.
Yeah. All right, there you have it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Be sure to subscribe to Stack in the Box on YouTube. Rate and review the audio version of this podcast. As always, we'll be back on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to preview the Week 10 slate. Be sure to sign up at Underdog using the code Stack in the Box to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Sterling, final thought.
Can't believe the season's halfway over. It's
crazy. After tonight, it'll be halfway.
It's halfway over, and I still feel like I have so many questions about so many teams.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you all so much for watching, listening. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.